Greetings, everyone. Welcoming you all in. It appears my live stream is going to be a bastard today. But anyhow, welcome everyone in. My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Today is Sunday, October 8th, and there is a lot going on today. So today is going to be, hopefully, today is only going to be about an hour that we're going to be together. Typically, the temple services are about 2 hours, but we are in the weekend of Indigenous Peoples Day here in Los Angeles, which is huge. I went to an Indigenous Peoples Day event yesterday in MacArthur Park, which was really lovely. And then straight from there, I went to a friend of mine's. They had an album release party yesterday. The name of the group is El Rio Los Angeles. Oh, this is so super. So super wonderful. And I do not say that lightly. They are so good. They are so good. They are so good. Ooh, they are so good. They had a wonderful turnout last night. Had DJs, had local indigenous vendors. About this incredible piece from this South American brother who makes wonderful jewelry. Child, this is the spine of a rattlesnake. Look at that. Yeah, so I got that from him last night. And then I didn't realize how many freaking Libras I know. Like, y'all, there are a lot of y'all out in the world, child. There's so many damn Libras out in the world. Good Lord. So I got 2 Libra birthday parties to go to today. Got 2 Libra birthday parties to go to today. And another Indigenous peoples event to go to today in East LA. And then, excuse me while I pick my tea. There's something else. I don't remember. But all of that to say, I had to do so much yesterday that I'm crazy sleepy still, crazy tired, but I got a lot to do today. So temple service today is going to be relatively short. Also, I had made an announcement to continue the reading of Pure Lust yesterday, and I didn't. So I wanted to, apologize for that. I was out and about and completely forgot about it until my alarm went off at 5 o'clock. So anyway, so today is going to be short, and I'm just going to talk about a few things. One of the things I'm going to talk about today is about Indigenous Peoples Day, about the significance of this month, which I've been talking to you guys about for a few weeks now, the last week in September specifically, because of all of the big energy movements that are happening this month. I'm going to post a video in the Facebook group for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence because there's a video I want you guys to see. I thought about and may still consider doing kind of like a summation of the video. I like the video, but, I will reiterate that the reason that I became fascinated with, interested in astrology, it was when I started hearing about, actually when I first started like researching, looking into astrology kind of moderately, was in preparation for the great American eclipse that happened in August of 2017. You have to excuse me. I'm gonna be self-adjusting a lot. I danced my ass off last night, and now I'm paying for it. Um, but anyway, in preparation for the Great American Eclipse that happened in 2017, was when I really started kind of paying attention to astrology. And again, it wasn't paying attention to astrology in a way that had me, uh, you know, learn astrology to become an astrologer as it was, because that's not what I have done. Not even up until now. I greetings, Lotus Flower. I anticipate that it is something that I'm going to have to do soon, and but when I say soon, I mean learning how to read astrology. No, octoelliptical. I am not smoking. I am burning. Well, actually, I'm burning copal. Uh, I'm burning copal. But anyway, I always get the strangest comments on Twitch. I don't know who is on Twitch. It was a homeboy that turned me onto it because he does extraordinary. He's a DJ. Mike Flo. I don't know if y'all know him, but Mike Flo, who is awesome. He is the producer, mixologist, music maker for the band Dead Prez. He is also a solo artist in his own right, who is incredible as a lyricist. He's nothing short of genius. But anyway, I was saying he was the one that turned me on to Twitch, and every time anybody gets on Twitch, I just get the weirdest comments. I'm gonna post one of these comments. I get the strangest comments. I know that there's like a lot of like game players and stuff on there, but this is one of the comments. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, so the whole thing about astrology, the reason I had gotten into it and remain interested and wonder and remain interested and stay paying attention to astrology is for the historical value of astrology. When I started hearing about a few years later about the coming Pluto return, America's first Pluto return, and I started hearing a lot about America's first Pluto returns, what it was going to mean for not only the future of this country, but what it was going to mean for the future of the planet. America being one of the younger planets, one of the younger countries on the planet, and it having the kind of global reach and impact that it has through colonial conquest and all of that stuff. I started really paying attention to how some astrologers will, so let me be specific. When I started talking about the Pluto returns, right? When I started doing the workshops on America's first Pluto returns, what it meant historically for us and in general, United States, and what it meant even more specifically for people of color living in the United States, right? Like what is the potential, what is the historical value of even identifying a Pluto returns and what it means for a nation. It takes 248 years approximately for Pluto to make its revolution around the sun. And so here we are back in this period where Pluto returns a little over a year ago, February 22nd, 2020, February 20th, 2022. What does this mean? What does it mean for us? What does it mean for how we have to move? What does it mean for how we plan for our future in this new period, in this new age, right? What does history have to tell us about what this means? because even before the coming Pluto returns, there was another big astrological event that everybody was talking about, was this conjunction that had not happened since 1518. That was the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, which had not happened since 1518. And they started talking about all the great historical events that happened the last time Saturn and Pluto met in Saturn's sign of Capricorn, right? And the thing that struck me was every great astrological, historical event that happened at that last conjunction was all from a Eurocentric perspective. I was like, well, damn. I mean, if it was this globally impactful, this conjunction in 1518, what was happening in Asia in 1518? What was happening in South America in 1518? What was happening in North America in 1518? What was happening in the world of color at this time that was supposed to be, globally impactful, and one of the markers for, radical occurrences and potential politically and socially when these astrological events happen. And because of what I found, like 1518 was the beginning of the Pontiac Wars in South America, right? That's huge, right? The Tupac Amaru led rebellions in South America. This was significant. And then the slave trade. So slavery was the shipping of Africans from West Africa to the United States, like basically became sanctioned in 1518. Right. So all these, and it took me about 2 minutes to figure, to find this stuff out. Well, what happened here in 1518? What happened here in 1518? But none of the astrologers at the time were pointing to any of these globally impacted events. And so that's when I became interested. I was like, okay, well, these astrologers, they do the astrology, they read the charts, they do the historical deep dives, but every last one of them included, and what was the other big one? That was when, what's his name? Martin Luther kicked off the Protestant Reformation of the church, was in 1518. So these things have still, you think about the Protestant Reformation of the Catholic Church, which had a stranglehold on Europe at the time. And this audacious former Catholic monk decides that he wants to empower people. We still give him all this credit because, we all here were born and raised Protestants, Methodist and Baptist, or whatever your bag is. So we still hold him up and revere him so much that we would name our damn kids after him. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther, as a nod to this quote hero, this hero of of human beings, and through the Protestant Reformation of the church, which has had diabolical, long-standing, terroristic impacts on people of color in the Western Hemisphere. Not just the Western Hemisphere, even when the Protestant Reformation kicked off, it was equally diabolical to that of the Roman Catholic Church. There is just as much blood that is the baptismal blood of the birth of Protestantism as there was in Roman Catholicism. So anyway, it's important for me to say that because we're still in the crest of this America's First Pluto Returns, which was going to take about 2 years, almost 2 years, for us to move through and permanently transition into. That transition will be complete on November 19th of 2024, where Pluto finally stops this kind of wobble type motion that she's been in, wobbling back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius since February 20th of 2022. That transition will be complete in November 19th of 2024, where she will permanently shift into Aquarius, which is marked by radical revolutionary movements that, if played right, actually will yield power and favor to the oppressed, yield power and favor to the former colonies, yield power and favor to those who have been the victims of the last age, of power in the last age, right? Now, why is this important? Why is it important today? There is, so like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into it because you can go back. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, and I did a whole kind of like overview of what to expect in the month of October with these coming eclipses. This big major eclipse season coming upon us next week on October 14th or 13th, depending upon where you are on the planet. We have an annular eclipse, a ring of fire eclipse that will be happening in the United States, entering into the United States in Oregon and going across through, what's it called? San Antonio, Texas, before leaving out of Mexico. And then its follow-up, which is because that's going to be a lunar eclipse that happens on October 14th. And then its completed eclipse will be in April 24th, I believe, where it enters from the southern portion of Mexico and comes across through San Antonio out to the northeastern portion of the North America. And those two eclipses form a perfect X across the country, both meeting in San Antonio, Texas. The one happening on the 14th will be the last of its type visible from the United States until the year 2039. So it's a pretty big deal. Several reservations in the path of totality have said that they are going to close off access to the lands because so many people were talking about, particularly Utah, the Valley of the Monuments. People were talking about in droves going to the Valley of the Monuments, which is directly in the path of totality, to witness the Ring of Fire eclipse. It will only be visible as a Ring of Fire eclipse in the path of totality. There are maps, if you're interested. There are like live or interactive maps that show you the path of totality and where you can see the Ring of Fire eclipse. I'm probably going to end up either in Utah or northern Arizona, northeastern Arizona. So the path goes straight through Four Corners for those that are paying attention, the Four Corners area of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, literally almost perfectly across the point of Four Corners. So that may be something that you're interested in doing. It's huge. It's a huge event. Like I said, won't be another one visible from the United States, from North America, until the year 2039. Okay, it sounds like I'm rambling, but I'm not. I'm getting to a point. Historically, so there's a video that I want you to see that I think is awesome. I'm going to post it in the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence Facebook group on Facebook. So it's the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So check that out. I'll post it today. Where this guy who is an astrologer that I really like, I really appreciate. That was why I got into it. I like this video. It's very short. A still majority of his worldview and how he analyzes the historical significance of astrology. He's British, so of course his worldview is going to be purely European. And so that was the reason I was considering maybe doing a condensed kind of review of his video from a POC perspective. Talk about these events, these eclipses in particular, because the video is about the significance of eclipses and what these major eclipses have meant historically, what historical events were occurring at the time of these major eclipses in history in the world of color, right? Because nobody seems to address. I haven't found an astrologer yet that goes through identifying these significant events and what happened politically and historically in the world at the time of these astrological events. I haven't seen that person yet. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I want to do with that. Now, today or this weekend is everybody is recognizing, paying homage to um, California. I think it was maybe 4 years ago. It was either the first or second year that I was here. Not California. Los Angeles declared that they were permanently doing away with Columbus Day and replacing Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. So that is why all of the Indigenous People Day events are happening this weekend. I'm hype about it. Since I've been here, I have gone out of my way to show up the best way that I can as an ally to Indigenous people. So I support these events. I fast on Thanksgiving, every Thanksgiving since 2008. So it's just important. To me, it is important for non-native people to show up in these spaces, right? Show up in support of. I go and I buy wares from Indigenous people on these days. I make sure to support the musicians and the artists in these days. And so that's what I'm spending today doing outside of the birthday parties that I am going to be going to today. Okay, so switching gears, there were some comments that I received on the last reading of the book that we've been going through now for a couple of weeks. Well, just a little over a week. Pure Lust by Mary Daly. Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Right? So there were a couple of things that were raised about our last reading that I felt like it was important to address, because this book is heavy and we're moving into sections of this book that I feel like it's important not to move through too quickly. And the questions that I had were on my YouTube. I should have maybe written them down or whatever, but you know what? As a matter of fact, let me pull out another book. There it is. So one question, and it keeps coming up. It comes up in a lot of spaces. The question of the word witch, the question of why we still use the word witch, people's opposition to the use of the word witch. That is something that has been long standing in the spaces I have run in. It's a big thing in It's a big deal in the Ifa tradition. It's like the worst possible thing. It's the worst possible thing to be identified as a witch. That the word witch didn't exist in Yoruba land or whatever. All kinds of disgruntled issues with the word witch. I want to talk about the word witch. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when I was reading from the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker. Excuse me. And also the Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects by Barbara Walker. We've talked about this word kind of a lot. I don't have a problem with the use of the word witch. What I do have a problem with is that the use of the word witch becoming a crutch for which it becomes acceptable to hurt, harm, condemn, or blaspheme women. That's the problem that I have with the word witch. Not with the word itself, but with the way that it has been used to justify harm to women. That's the only problem I got with it. But to clarify, when we started reading in Pure Lust, let's see. When we started reading in the book Pure Lust, some of you may not have tuned in since the beginning, but when we started reading the book Pure Lust, she goes through an entire, this is specifically addressing the people who had an issue with the use of the word witch or other words that have negative connotations when used against women. She went through at the very beginning of the book, so I would just encourage you to go back to not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before when we started reading the book. I would encourage you to go back and listen to one of the primary things that she is talking about. We're already on page 113, over and over and over, as a way to kind of like reedify frequently. She says several times, I use words to awaken women. I use words in a way, I give them back their true meaning, because she is saying the taking away or the manipulation of the original meaning of words is purposeful, almost like spell casting, changing the meaning of a word, changing its frequency. And so she says, as part of this book, what I'm doing is reclaiming words. So she goes through a whole list of these words that she's talking about have been transformed for the primary purpose of the extraction of power of women. When she talks about, what page was this? Where she talks about these words that have perpetually been used to almost kind of like quiet women or shut them up. The worst thing you can possibly be called is a nag. But she talks about the origin and the original etymological meaning of the word nag. She talks about the original etymological meaning of the word crone. She talks about the etymological meaning of the word labors. Of the let's see, what else? Of lust. When she talks over and over and over again about or categorizing, free thinking wild women, and she categorizes them as lusty women or lusty nags. This is her attempt at the reclamation of words that have been used as weapons against women, right? Lust. Hold on. Recalling the elemental race, when she talks about let's see. She goes through a whole list of them. Nags. What's she call them? I just wanted to clarify that because people get caught up. Angels, demons, spirits, hags, harpies, crones, furies, spinsters, nags and hags. Hold on. She revisits the meanings of the word virgins and sprites and let's see. Listen, dykes and brewsters, dryads, let's see. Shrews, sirens, vixens, websters, weirdos, virgins, soothsayers. All these words that have been transformed by males in power for the sole purpose of condemning and demonizing those categorizations of powerful women prior to the rise of patriarchy. Was that clear? So I don't want anybody to get, because the way she writes, and I try to reiterate this pretty often, the way she writes is an attempt to re-seize power and dominion over the use of words, and not in some ambiguous way. The use of words, she even talks about the rhythm of writing, iambic pentameter, and so that the origins of the rhythms of writing as the origins of spell casting, the command of words in order to cast spell, right? So, and how to undo spells as well. So I just want us to be mindful of that. I felt like that's kind of where some of that was coming from. And then the last thing that I talked about in our last reading, or the last thing Mary Daly talks about in our last reading, was the transformation of the image of the Virgin Mary to suit the needs of the Roman Catholic Church. That the Roman Catholic Church couldn't just do away with the Mother of God, because these people who were pagans, who had been worshiping the goddess for thousands and thousands of years, they didn't want to spark rebellion with the forced removal of the image of deity as mother. So what they did was they transformed these old stories, typically Iana, Ishtar, Astarte, Isis, so on, and superimpose it on the quote mother of God, for the sole purpose of reducing the mother God to just the simple vessel that was held with the responsibility of holding divine seed. You feel me? So now she's no longer God. She is the mother of God, the lowly mother of God, for whom she had to maintain virtue in order to give birth to God. And then we also talked in that last section about the story unfolding later in the 18th century, or in the 19th century, the late 1800s, of the story born politically of the Immaculate Conception. So the Immaculate Conception is not Mary being forcefully impregnated by the angel Gabriel to give birth to Jesus. No. The Immaculate Conception, which came much later, 1856, I think, is when she said the dogma had been created, was to further explain that it wasn't enough that Mary was born and was a human or whatever that was supposed to be charged with giving birth to God eventually, but that there had to be something that made her stand out as special in order to receive this gift of the Holy Spirit, which was to eventually become impregnated with Jesus, right? And that thing that made her special or set her apart from others was the fact that the Immaculate Conception is about Mary's conception. It is about her being conceived by a mother that had not been known, according to this doctrine, right? That Mary too was born of a virgin mother. That is the only way that she would have been special enough to give birth to Jesus. But it wasn't that her mother was parthenogenetic reproducer, right? What they said was, because God is all knowing and God is all seeing and omnipotent, he could see the future, and that Mary was supposed to be the vessel. So she had to be, her mother had to conceive her the same way she conceived Jesus. What it does is, again, attempt to completely destroy and erase the spontaneous impregnating power of the divine mother in the body of flesh, which every society had recognized and had storytelling around. The self-impregnation, the goddess who turns in on herself to give birth to her son, right? Or her daughter. You understand? So anyway, hopefully that's clear. I want to go ahead. Let's see what time it is. It's 11:40. So I'm not going to read today, but I wanted to clear that up. I got several comments today. As a matter of fact, what I will do is go back and read just a little bit of what I think prompted those questions. Yeah, I will do that. So I'm going to go back and read a little bit of what prompted those questions. That was a lot, though. First. Okay, so let's see. Am I going to do that? It's deep. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go back over that. Maybe on Monday we'll go back over that. But some of these questions about the tokenizing of women, the let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna table that till tomorrow. I'm not gonna read any of that. We're gonna table that till tomorrow. But for those who are diligently following along, this book that I will be continuing to read from tomorrow is called Pure Lust. Elemental. Let's see. Elemental Feminist Philosophies. I will pick up that reading tomorrow. But yeah, I only have about 20 minutes left. I'm going to be diligent because I have a lot to do today. So, one, I want to show you some new earrings. So that way you can go and check out my Etsy page, my Etsy store. So these images, I don't know if they're that clear. Here, let me take it off and show it to you up close. But these are of the goddess Sekhmet, who I just love. I just adore her beautiful self. I adore her story. This is the goddess Sekhmet. I just made these a couple days ago. Positioned behind or in front of the red, black, and green flag. So if you're interested in purchasing any of my jewelry, then you can go to daughterofthefates.etsy.com. Daughterofthefates.etsy.com. Yeah. So I guess I'm tired and I don't want to be tired anymore. I'm tired of being tired, yo. I'm tired of being tired. You understand? Anyway, we're going to continue with the reading of Pure Lust tomorrow. Today, I'm going to go and be with and dance with and sit with the indigenous peoples of Southern California at these wonderful events. I'm going to go give birthday gifts. I may do a little something later on this evening with the temple, but for right now, I think I'm going to close down for today. I think I'm going to, yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm sorry if that wasn't a lot, but yeah. I think that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you all. I appreciate your time. Probably do some, maybe pull a card for right now. Maybe that's the thing I can do really quick. Just pull a card for today and see what happens. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So just stick around for a second. I'm going to pull a card, see what we got going on for today. And then I'll pick back up this week doing like readings and doing readings and so probably not. Yeah, pick it back up doing readings, doing some astrology updates because we need them. That eclipse is coming up on the 14th, so it's no joke. Yeah. For those of you who know, I read from the Medicine Woman deck. I'm just going to pick a card. The Exemplar of Bowls. Exemplar of Bowls. If you refuse me, honey, you'll lose me. Oh, yes, the Exemplar of Bowls. So let me show you the card. All right. So the bowls in this deck are the cups in the traditional deck. We don't have anybody watching live on IG. But yeah, it's the cups. This card is about your displays of love, how you display love, how you show love to others. Um, yeah. And this particular expression of love is about passing on what you have, your skills, your knowledge, your wisdom, your learned experiences. One of the greatest expressions of love is to teach others, is to pass on what you know to others. And not only to teach it to them, but to teach them how to integrate it. Um, it is also in that teaching being mindful of being grateful for these experiences, these skills, these lived experiences, right? Um, to be wary of those that would, in your attempts to teach through love, in your attempts to pass on what you have learned through love, it is easy for people to become envious, um, and to not be succumbed by that, to not be succumbed by other people's negative emotions or feelings about what it is you're called to do. Do what you're called to do, which is to take this time to pass on what you know to others. That this teaching, this passing on of information, of wisdom to others is an act of devotion, the greatest act of love. And that when you pass on those things that you have learned, when you teach others, when you demonstrate to others and show others how to integrate their lived experiences, their lessons, their teachings, you open up yourself big, huge, for more good to come in. But you have to pass it on before the other can come in, before the good can come in. You have to pass it. That's the act of love. That's the display of love, is the teaching, is the passing along. So you give love through teaching, love returns. You give love through teaching, love returns. And it's interesting. I like this card because to me, it's very clear, but the image in the card may look like, a mother teaching a daughter. It may be just a mentor teaching a younger person. But for me, it feels like it's, I don't know, it's always felt like this me that I am now kind of reaching back to make sense of and to reteach. You hear people all the time talking about reparenting their inner child, that there was something lacking in their childhood, something lacking in the nurturing they needed as children by their parents. And so a lot of therapy talk, you hear about the necessity of reparenting your inner child, right? That's what this card feels like to me. It doesn't just feel like an outward expression of love. It doesn't just feel like an outward expression of love through teaching and transferring skills, wisdom, and lived experiences. This card always made me feel like this was my current me, my current self, reaching back to make sense of, to reteach, to re-nurture my younger me. That's what this card always feels like. It feels like my older self behind my younger self, kind of like showing up for, you know? So that's it too. I mean, some of the greatest denial of love is to ourselves, right? So when I'm talking about the greatest expression of love being the necessity of teaching, right? Passing skills along, so on and so forth, that might mean to your inner child. It might not necessarily be an expression of just the outward giving and the outward teaching. It may very well be that you have to be your own mentor to your own inner child. Fuck. It may mean, which is probably the more accurate assessment, it may mean that you have to become your wiser self, your clearer self, your your experiences as the elder version of yourself. You might have to re-mentor your own inner child, baby. That may be the expression of love that you need to be involved in right now. I'm feeling that this is probably most certain still the case with me, right? Yeah. So maybe go ahead and pull another card that can preoccupy the remainder of the time. All right, Four of Arrows. And we love arrow cards, even though in the traditional the traditional tarot, the arrows is always perceived as the doom and gloom card. It's the swords in the traditional deck. And I told y'all from the beginning, I do not subscribe to that. So I'll show you the card. This is the Four of Arrows. I want you to take a look. She's got an owl over one shoulder. She's got her home under the other over the other shoulder. She is making something. Let's see. I'm looking at it backwards. Yep, she's got her bowl in front of her. She's got her supplies. She's got an owl over her right shoulder and her housing dwelling unit. Over her left shoulder, she's got an arrow, like a bow for her arrow. I don't know if you can see that at her feet. She's got a bow at her feet. Okay. And do you remember I told you that the arrows are the swords and the traditional deck? It's interesting because the name of the card is Contemplate Your Blessings. Contemplate your blessings. Right? So it's basic. So this card has a reading. It says, take time to organize your thoughts. If you cannot organize your thoughts, you need to free yourself of trying to figure things out at this moment. Oh my God. Just float into fantasy. Get out of the stream of purposeful activity. If you do something, do it only for the enjoyment of itself in the moment. This too is a mental discipline. Let wisdom come while you rest. Listen, we've been doing this deck. We've been doing this readings from this deck for a couple of weeks now. Well, maybe about a couple of weeks now. And that just always seems to be the overall theme over and over again is rest. What you need comes through rest. What you envision comes through rest. The mental discipline of learning to learning to rest. To not be doing just for the sake of doing because you feel like you're being lazy if you don't do. Stop feeling guilty about taking rest, right? This has been the theme of every reading that we've done since last Saturday is having enough confidence. She says here, it is a mental discipline to learn to do something for the sheer love of it and no other reason. Get out of this routine of purposeful activity, of rational and logical thinking being the primary thing that you are engaged in. The act of purposeful doing, purposeful busyness. Like, get out of that shit and do something for no other reason than in the moment it makes you happy. It gives you pleasure. It gives you joy. And there is where epiphany will come. There is where the questions that you have for your life will come. The epiphany, the breakthrough, the answers to the all elusive questions that you have comes in moments of rest, comes in moments of relaxation, comes in moments where you are not rigid and guarded and breathing shallow because you chronically think about what you got to do, what you got to make happen, how you going to make it happen. On guard, we don't have the ability to tap in the best possible way. This card is just reiterating, count your blessings in the calm assess all the ways that you are fortunate. It's crazy, because one of the questions that I got today on my YouTube channel was about a post that I did in February when my mother got sick and I was in Alabama, right? And the woman commented today on a video that I made while I was out in the country. And so I watched the video because every time I just want y'all to know that's my habit. Whenever somebody makes a comment on a video of mine, I go back and watch portions of the video because there's something for me there. Like that's a discipline. That's an oracle, if you have me tell. Okay. So I listened this morning and it was the same thing that I'm telling you now. All these months ago, that was February, right? That it is in the calm, it is in the quiet, it is in the relaxed state of pleasure, not just pleasure in every way. When I did that video, I was sitting on the ground at my childhood home, sitting so grateful because for the first time in years, I've heard bugs, because I don't hear bugs out here. I heard like loud ass country bugs, crickets, and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing, right? It is those moments where we take a deep breath. When we feel every single muscle relax on the exhale and we do it again and we feel ourselves become more and more still. I promise you that is where epiphany is. I know it's where it is because that is when I am able to hear more clearly. My dreams last night were off the chain. Crazily prophetic dreams last night. And good, nothing crazy, nothing scary, prophetic in a good way. But I'm just telling you, this card is a word. The Four of Arrows, count and contemplate your blessings. When you are counting and contemplating your blessings, this is an act, this is a discipline of living in a state of gratitude, recalling the ways that you have been blessed, as opposed to obsessing over the ways that you think you're oppressed or, downtrodden or whatever. You feel me? So contemplate your blessings so that you can continue to be blessed. You can continue to receive intervention from spirit in your most relaxed and joy-filled way, right? I think that's a word. I'm going to pull one more card and then we're going to be done for the day, Piper. Oh, another arrows card. The Seven of Arrows. This is a pretty heavy card. So I'm going to show it to each of you. So here is the Seven of Arrows, and you see different people, obviously different backgrounds, but these aren't just regular people. These all look like spiritual people. These all look like spiritual leaders from different cultures and societies. You see people in the background and something in scrolls and scribes and, papyrus. This is an ancient looking, this is a card of like significant historical spiritual you see the arms raised, the different ways that they pray. You see how the woman has her hands out, but the person here who looks almost like a monk has his hands clasped. Same with the dude in the back, his hands are kind of spread out. The native looking woman here, her hands her arms are kind of folded over each other. The different style, like this is a very descriptive card, very vivid card. The sun shining big from behind, the buffalo and the hunter up in the top left corner, right? It's a really powerful card. The card's name, the name of the card is called Listen to the Truths of the Sages. Listen to the truth of the sages. What is a sage? Sage is a person that is wise. Now, sages in Hindu tradition, it's like an ascended master. Once you've reincarnated so many times, you do not have to reincarnate. You become a sage. You become an ascended master that now you can rally from the spiritual realm on behalf of those on earth. right? These are like the most wise of the wise, right? So I'm going to read this card because I love this card, and then we can discuss it. Listen to the truth of the sages. Grandmothers, grandfathers, open your ways to me. I will practice and perfect them in my peaceful place within. I understand that I am the translator of all of your words for the world in which I am living. Speak to my heart and my soul. Let the secret and wisdom be one. All thanks be to you who have walked before me. And then the lesson from the card. You are finding through your experience that some of the truths you were taught in the past are of real value. Lord, let me tell you about this card right now, child. And about this morning. Ooh, and about the coming together of things in beautiful, timely, perfect synchronicity. Okay? It says, you are finding through your experiences that some of the truths of your past are of real value. Though you may have left the religion of your childhood, though you have left the religion of your childhood and set aside some of your early training, you are finding support from the sages. Ancient ways are being revealed to you through your own life events. You have questioned, you have let go of that which did not benefit you. Listen. You are now edging beyond skepticism of all systems of thought and coming to see one light uniting them all. Let's see. You are opening to the masters of wisdom as they reveal their truths in response to your everyday concerns. Can you be humble enough to accept words of those who have lived their lives to reveal divine wisdom to you? Reclaim that which empowers you. You now understand how certain beliefs help or hinder you. Take into yourself those ways of thinking that enhance your life and its greatest purpose. Do not be afraid to adopt the ways of the wise. Now, let me tell you why I'm having a moment about this card. Because again, I told you, I am certain that that these teachings that I do, that these interventions that I have, this is the reason I go back and watch videos that I've done, is because I'm a channeler. I'm certain of it. I was always hesitant about saying that out loud, but I'm certain of it because I see clearly how that happens. So I go back and listen to videos that I've done when I know that there are moments of channeling happening in these videos. So this morning I see this comment this woman made about this live that I did in February, and I re-listened to the whole thing while I was in the shower. And the whole thing was about what this card just communicated. In the whole video, I am talking about how I left Christianity and how I was crystal clear when I did that it was not the way for me. This card was, I talked about how what happened, what I felt in my body, what happened to me clearly as day when I decided to leave the African People's Socialist Party, how this thing had just happened to me last year when I made the public declaration that I would no longer be a practitioner of Ifa, and how crystal clear it was I would not be a devotee of Ifa, and how crystal clear that moment was. And this card talking about, recognizing, and that's one of the things I talked about in this video, recognizing that everything that you have been a part of has taught you something of value, something that you can retrieve later without being held captive by the ideology, right? That these things are purposeful, that they are useful, and that they have to happen, but still being able to retrieve from others what you need without judgment, right? So, and this is talking about the ancient, all the way, the most ancient to the present day, this great light that shines on and connects all, coming from all the different types of biblical text. What is this? Is this biblical text on the back of the wall? On the back here, this isn't biblical text. This is cave drawings. This is the cave paintings to to the papyrus over here, to the modern, whatever this is, Bible, Quran, Torah, whatever your bag is, right? It's the ancient to the most modern, how everything exists, has a story to tell, has something to teach us if we're open to receiving it, but without being hogtied to dogma. This thing says, keep what you need. Let go of that which you do not need. That was the message for this morning, getting out of the shower, reading comments on my YouTube channel. So I just love how beautifully eloquent this read is. This is a really good read for the day. So you can take that with you, however it serves you. And I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our regular occurring reading or recurring reading of Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy. Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly, until we are done with this book, which I would imagine it took us a week to get this. So I'd say 2 weeks, maybe 3, to get through this book, because I am going to be a lot more disciplined about limiting my interventions in that book and saving those interventions for our Zoom calls on Wednesday nights. So with that being said, I'm Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Hit up my Etsy store, which is daughterofthefates.etsy.com. I can take this off so y'all can see it too. This is also another piece that I've done, a wire wrapping of amethyst that I've just recently done. You can't have this one. It's my personal piece, but I can make you one just as extraordinary, as I have tons and tons of different crystals. So you see here this wire wrapped downward facing triangle shaped amethyst that I just made recently. All right, so I can do that however you want, right? But anyway, yeah, so if you want to purchase jewelry, or I also have the custom made journals that I've been doing, the fabric covered journals and lyric books that I've been doing. You can reach out to me at my Etsy store. So I have all kinds of really dope, journals that I make. All right, I'll show you the inside. This is my personal journal, but anyway, I'll show you the inside. So you can get yourself a custom made fabric covered lyric book / journal. You can get all of those things at my Etsy store, which is daughterofthefates.etsy.com. You can go to my Facebook page. I actually have a folder in my photos called Daughter of the Fates. All of those items are only on my Facebook page, and they're on sale only on my Facebook page. So you can check that out. Daughter of the Fates folder on my Facebook page, which is Cassandra Floyd. That being said, I'm done. I hope something fed you from here today. Maybe I'll report on the happenings of my weekend, because there's a lot with Indigenous Peoples Day. If you are in the Los Angeles area, I would encourage you to seek out some Indigenous Peoples Day events to go support. I feel like that's one of the things that is really lacking, is our willingness to go outside of our comfort zones and show better displays of support among other peoples. So I would encourage you to do that. And that's all I got for you. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the reading of Pure Lust. In the meantime, have an incredible day. Have a bountiful day. May all your wishes come true. May your dreams be wonderful and pleasant. And I will see you tomorrow.